I must begin by pointing out that while there has been a steady movement in the inflation situation in India, there are important tasks ahead to be undertaken to get to the desired outcomes. I intend to elaborate the reasons that have prevented an appreciable drop in the headline inflation over the past 2 years, especially since August 2011. I would also like to share with this August House the policy framework that we hope will bring down the inflation rate to more acceptable levels in the next 6 to 12 months. Since August 2011, when we last discussed the issue of inflation in the House, overall wholesale price index inflation has been stable. It was 9% in August 2011 and 10% in October 2011. However, the food inflation has been on the rise. In these 3 months, certain food items, namely fruits and vegetables, egg, meat, fish, and milk, have been the major contributors to the food inflation. Along with fuel and power items, it has led to the stickiness in headline inflation. Within food items, the average inflation in cereal has been 4.7% in the period August to October 2011, with negative inflation in wheat. The inflation in pulses was also negative. Let me also give you an idea of movement in average monthly retail prices in a few selected food items over the last 2 years. However, this was not the case with food items like vegetables and fruits, as pointed out earlier. Honorable members are aware that inflation is caused by a mismatch of demand and supply, particularly demand overshooting supply. During periods of rapid growth and structural change, inflation does tend to increase. We have seen this happen in all emerging economies that have gone through such periods of policy changes and of rapid growth, ranging from China, South Korea, and Vietnam to Argentina and Brazil. Sir, in a globalized world where the growing Indian economy is dependent on commodity imports in critical areas like fuel oils, edible oils, etc., movements in international prices have a direct bearing on levels of domestic inflation and its management. In a bid to jumpstart their economies and cut down unemployment, several countries have expanded liquidity in their markets. We find that this increased liquidity in the industrialized countries has generated inflationary pressure in virtually all emerging economies and some developing countries. In the past 5 to 6 months, inflation has been at over 13% in Pakistan, over 9% in Argentina and Russia, at over 10% in Bangladesh, and over 7% in Brazil. Food inflation in China, which is otherwise a low inflation country, has increased from a negative 0.5% in January 2010 to 5% uh, in January 2011. There is another peculiar development in the international markets that has contributed to inflationary trends being sustained over the past 12 months in import dependent emerging markets. Speculative activity in commodity markets and some supply disruptions in fuel oil have kept the commodity markets tight. The increased uncertainty in the eurozone has hardened the US dollar against most currencies. The Indian rupee, which was rupees 44.4 to a dollar in April 2011 has depreciated to rupees 52 as of November 21, 2011. As a result, whatever little benefit could have been derived from the softening of international commodities prices has been wiped out by the depreciation in rupee. We have tried to address these concerns in our external sector in the international fora like the G20 and in the IMF. The Reserve Bank of India has been monitoring the foreign exchange markets closely and will take the required action tight, in light of the international developments as the situation unfolds. Let me now turn to the domestic demand supply factors that have contributed to the present state of inflation in India. When there is a mismatch between demand and supply, it follows that there are two things to do, that is, improve supply and moderate demand. But it is not always possible to increase supply to desired levels in the short term. We can resort to imports or ban exports and take measures that will increase supply over time. On the demand side, while in principle it is possible to compress and restrict it through tighter fiscal and monetary policy control, the risk is that if it is done rapidly, then growth may decline sharply, creating unemployment. Honorable members are aware that in the last two union budgets we have tried to improve the supply response of agriculture with a view to address the inflation in food items. We have taken steps to better manage our food supply, including by extending the green revolution to eastern region, enhancing production of edible oils, pulses, milk, cereals and vegetable production. There has also been considerable improvement in shortage, storage and cold chains. On the demand side, in these difficult circumstances, the Reserve Bank of India has tightened liquidity by raising the interest rate.